It's 8 p.m. on a Friday, and there's a hum in the air, a static electricity of anticipation. This isn't just watching a movie. This is the hunt. This is the ritual. For millions of us, the weekend, that glorious two-day slice of freedom, didn't truly begin until you walked through those heavy automatic glass doors. The quest, the simple, noble quest to find a movie, was just as important, sometimes more important, than the movie itself. Today, that ritual is extinct, buried under the crushing, silent convenience of the play button. We have something infinitely faster, cheaper, and bigger. We have everything, all at once, all the time. But if what we have now is so perfect, why do we feel this strange, profound, almost hollow sense of loss? Why are we so deeply nostalgic for a place that charged us $5 for a two-day rental and punished us like criminals if we dared to return it at noon instead of 10 a.m.? This isn't just nostalgia. This is an autopsy of a feeling. This is an analysis of what our brains, our hearts, and our communities lost when convenience finally and totally won.
The video store was, above all, a physical place. You didn't open it with a click. You entered it. And the first thing that hit you was the smell. It's a smell that is now lost to history. A bizarre, comforting, irreplaceable perfume of microwave popcorn, stale candy, plastic from the VHS boxes, and that weird industrial-grade carpet. Then the sound, the low hum of the fluorescent lights, the chaotic, joyful cacophony of 20 different movie trailers playing at once on a wall of flickering CRT monitors. Braveheart bleeding into Ace Ventura. Terminator 2 booming over The Lion King. This wasn't an algorithm. This was a cathedral. A loud, disorganized, slightly sticky cathedral of film. You didn't just browse. You wandered. You explored. You had to physically move, to engage your body, to walk the holy aisles in the act of discovery.
This was the main altar, the first place you ran to, the new release wall. It was a wall of promises, of bright colors, of the now. And it was here that we learned our first and most important economic lesson: scarcity. There were maybe 10 copies of Titanic, 15 copies of The Matrix. If you got there at 8:01 p.m., they were gone. All you'd find were the empty display boxes lying face down in failure. And this scarcity, this limitation, did something powerful to our brains. It made the movie valuable. Finding the last copy, grabbing it before someone else did, that felt like victory. And not finding it, that was the start of an adventure, because now you had to wander. Because you couldn't get what you came for, you were forced to do something we rarely do anymore: get lost. You drift into the comedy aisle with its comfort of Robin Williams, then sci-fi with its strange airbrushed alien landscapes. Then you'd take a chance. You'd brave the horror aisle. The box art was lurid,
promising, often terrifying. You were judging a movie by its cover, a forgotten art form. You were picking up the box, feeling its weight, and reading the tiny, hyperbolic text on the back. You were looking for that R rating, a tiny thrill in itself. This was serendipity, the magic of finding something amazing by accident. It was an inefficient, chaotic, analog, and absolutely beautiful system of discovery. And when you were truly lost, when the aisles had defeated you, there wasn't an algorithm. There was a person. Usually a 19-year-old film nerd with horn-rimmed glasses and a smug expression who had seen everything. You could ask them a question, a real human question. Hey, I liked Pulp Fiction. What else would I like? And they'd sigh, annoyed but secretly thrilled. They'd walk you right past the Blockbusters, to a dusty, neglected shelf, to a wall labeled Staff Picks. This was the original recommended for you. It wasn't based on your data. It was based on passion. It was based on taste. It was a human recommendation from one film lover to another. Getting that nod of approval, that was a rite of passage. We had this entire world, this physical, social, sensory, human experience, and we killed it. We killed it gleefully, happily, without a second thought. Because the assassin didn't look like an assassin. It was a small, thin, red envelope. Netflix. And its promise was seductive, irresistible. Every movie you could ever want. No due dates and no late fees. It was, by all measures, a perfect product. A perfect, bloodless, silent disruptor. We weren't victims of its success. We were its willing accomplices. The promise was utopia, a digital library of Alexandria, the end of scarcity. No more driving in the snow only to find Jumanji was checked out. No more racing back to the store before it closed. We were told that more choice was the ultimate freedom. The video store had a few thousand titles, constrained by 4 physical walls. Netflix would have all of them. What could possibly be wrong with that? What could possibly go wrong with infinity?
This is what's wrong. The endless, paralyzing scroll. We've all been here. You sit down, you open the app, and you scroll. You scroll past top 10. You scroll past trending. You scroll past because you watched. You scroll and scroll and scroll. This is the paradox of choice. The theory, popularized by psychologist Barry Schwartz, that when we are presented with infinite choice, our brains don't feel liberated, they feel overwhelmed, paralyzed. At Blockbuster, you had to make a decision in 20 minutes before your dad honked the horn. At home, you have 5,000 perfect options, so you're terrified of making the wrong one. The result isn't joy, it's anxiety, it's fatigue, it's that hollow 10 p.m. feeling of just giving up and watching The Office for the 9th time.
But it's worse than just too much choice. It's filtered choice. It's a tyranny of suggestion. The staff pick at the video store was designed to challenge you, to expand your taste.
The Netflix algorithm is designed to pacify you. Because you watched The Office, here are 40 other 30-minute comedies that feel exactly the same. The algorithm isn't a curator, it's a retention tool. It's not a film lover, it's a salesman. It's designed to find the path of least resistance, to keep your eyeballs on the screen for one more minute, one more episode. It doesn't build worlds, it builds a filter bubble, a safe, comfortable, predictable, and ultimately boring hall of mirrors.
And this is the most important change. The Friday night ritual, the hunt, the drive, the debate, the commitment, all of that friction made the movie an event. Streaming turned movies into content. Content is cheap, it's disposable, it's ambient. It's something to fill the silence, something to have on in the background while you scroll on your other screen. Content is something you put on. An event is something you experience. By removing all friction, we accidentally removed all the value. We made our magic mundane.
So why does this law still hurt so much? First, a psychological bias called the endowment effect. We place more value on things we can physically hold. Holding that heavy plastic VHS box, feeling the satisfying snap of the clamshell case, that felt like yours. You had a physical bond with it. You don't own anything on Netflix. You are renting a temporary license to a stream of data. It is intangible, weightless, ephemeral. It feels like it has no value because, in your hands, it doesn't. You're grasping at digital smoke. We think we hate friction, but our brains secretly need it. The effort, the friction of driving to the store in the rain, of arguing with your sibling, of committing your $5, of having to rewind the damn tape, that was an investment. And that investment, that sunk cost, made you commit to the film. You made yourself watch it, even the slow parts, because you had worked for it. It's the same reason a meal you spend an hour cooking yourself tastes better than fast food. It's why climbing a mountain feels better than driving up it. Humans are wired to value what we work for. Netflix is frictionless, and therefore it often feels valueless.
But the biggest loss wasn't psychological. It was social. Sociologists call it the third place. Not home, your first place. Not work, your second place. The third place is the vital, physical public space where community happens. Coffee shops, libraries, pubs, and video stores. It was one of the last great democratic secular spaces. A place where you would bump into neighbors, where you'd argue with friends, where you'd see your high school teacher renting something embarrassing. We replaced a communal, public, noisy, human experience with a solitary, private, silent one.
Now, we must be honest. Our rose-tinted glasses are thick. We are conveniently forgetting the crippling late fees, that $3 rental that turned into a $30 disaster because you forgot it in your car. We forget the tapes that had been watched so many times the film was snowy and warped, the audio muffled. We forget the scratched DVDs that would freeze right at the climax. We forget the smell of burnt plastic when your VCR ate the tape. We forget the sheer primal frustration of be kind, rewind. It was not a perfect system. It was flawed and expensive and maddeningly, wonderfully inefficient. We can never go back. And honestly, we shouldn't. Netflix, for all its sins, is a technological marvel. It has given access to film to more people in more places than at any time in human history. But when we say we miss Blockbuster, we aren't stupid. We aren't just clinging to old plastic. We are nostalgic for a time when discovery required effort. We miss the feeling of community, even if it was just arguing in an aisle. We miss the weight of a physical object. We miss the ritual. We're not chasing a store. We are chasing a feeling. And the great unsolved question of our digital age is not what should we watch next. It's how do we find that feeling again?